All right. Let's see if we're live. Looks like we're live. Yep, we are. We're live. All right. Let me get this shared out. Oops. Okay, there we go. I got that pulled up so I can see comments if we have any. Oh, sweet. Yeah, I'm just sharing this now. All right, let's see if this is working. Yep, looks like we're live. We're live on Instagram. All right, so sorry about that. All right, so this is the fourth episode of Smith's Grove Sanitarium podcast. I'm John. This is
And
Josh.
I'm Josh.
And today we're going to be talking about our top 10 favorite horror movie sequels, combined, 5 each. This is our first live show, so we're just kind of winging it, seeing how this goes, seeing if anyone checks it out. Figured it'd be a good change up. Yeah, so I guess before we get into that, though, I guess what's been going on lately? Is there any news or anything you wanted to go into?
Not really. I haven't really seen too much. I know there's some new movies that have come out, like that Cocaine Bear, which I've heard pretty good things about, actually. I'd be interested to see it, but I just don't have too much time to go check it out. Same with that, and I'd like to go see that whenever that new Dracula Renfield movie comes out with Nick Cage.
Yeah,
I'd like to see that. That looks fun.
Yeah, that looks killer, man. I actually think that looks kind of funny. Like that trailer made me laugh when they're it's like when he's in therapy and Dracula comes in and he's like, "No, don't invite him in."
Yeah.
He like walks in.
Yeah, I thought that looked pretty funny. I want to see that. And then other than that, I mean, I'm really not. I mean, Scream 6. That's about it. And then that Texas Chainsaw Massacre that's coming out from Second Sight. I finally bought that. So
Oh, so
I'll have that. I'll have that pre-ordered whenever I can't remember when that's coming out, but I'll have that when that comes out. And then I saw that CK from Dead Pit got the one from Dark Sky, the Steel Book.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I saw he had a review up. I need to watch it because I know he did like a comparison thing on it, I believe.
The Steelbook looks cool. It looks like a cool. It was just like in a little unboxing thing in the one video I saw, and he unboxed it. The Steelbook looks cool. It's just the poster art, but like, I'm not gonna get that one. The Second Sight one's like a huge box with like cards and like a book and shit. Like that's way cooler. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought about getting them both, but I really don't need another one because I already got that one from Turbine, so I really don't need 3 4Ks of the same movie.
Yeah, for real. That's kind of where I came back and forth on it because I was gonna get the Second Sight. I thought about that one, then I thought about the Dark Sky one. I haven't gotten any. I had one on pre-order. I had the Dark Sky one on pre-order, and I canceled it because I was like,
how much was that?
You know, it was
because the Second Sight one's like $54, I think.
It was like $43.
Oh, honestly, yeah. Well, if it's 40 something bucks, then I would just get the Second Sight one because I was going to say that would be the only way I would get the dark sky one over it, is if the second sight one was like way more expensive. But if it's like $10, I would definitely get it, because I ordered it from Diabolic, and because you can't order it straight from Second Sight because they don't ship outside the UK. But
yeah, so did you get the big one or the normal edition? Because I think there was
yeah,
there
I got
two
the
editions?
big one. Yeah,
yeah, it's probably worth it. You probably have like, do you have the Blu-ray Texas Chainsaw, the remastered Blu-ray one?
yeah. I never got that big ass one that's like the truck or whatever, the Santa Maria edition or whatever.
Mhm.
I always saw that one, and I thought that one looked cool, but I just never got it.
Yeah, that did look cool. The truck, I think.
It comes
Great
with like an
Escape.
apron and shit.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. I think Great Escape in Nashville had that one. I think it was like $100 because it was out of
You
print.
can buy
maybe.
it. You can buy it now for like 50. Like people still sell it online. I've seen it for like, one time I saw it for like 40, and I was like, should I get that? If it's cool, but it's like, I don't know where I'd put it.
Yeah, that's the whole thing with that stuff. Recently I saw the Shout Factory, the Friday 13th box set was on sale, and I don't really need it because I have most of them already. I have like a smaller set, and I've got a lot of the individuals in that set that I got from McKay's. And I was sitting here, I was like, if I got this thing, the only reason I'm getting it is to get Jason Goes to Hell. So I just
Right.
ended up buying Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah,
and I was
I was in the same boat with that for a while. I had that little 8 film set, which was like all the Paramount ones on Blu-ray, because I didn't get that 10 that came out in 2013, so I didn't have those. But I eventually was like, fuck it, I'm gonna get it, because I don't know, I wanted it. Like, it looks cool, That's my biggest thing that I love that Scream Factory does, is they have those sets in the box, and they've got individual movies. That's what I always wanted for a Halloween box set. I said, if it's got a set that's got each movie with its own theatrical art, that would be the best set ever. And then they did it, and I was like, oh. Now, to me, that's my favorite set they ever did.
Oh, the Halloween one?
Mm-hmm.
I still need that one. I had the cheap one. So there was the big one, and then I had the little one. The little one I had, and then I sold it. And now I just have them all kind of individually. Like, I've got Lionsgate versions, I've got Scream Factory versions. So I have all the movies. I've just kind of got a mixed bag of different versions of them.
I've seen that bigger one going for like $100 recently, from where they're all on 4K now. The value of that thing just tanked, because there for a while it was like $400. $500 and shit. But now it's like way cheaper, which I have them all on 4K too, but I still love that box set. It's really cool. I got that the day it came out. Like, I think it was September, it was in September of 2014 when that came out. I remember I pre-ordered it. I got it the day it came out.
Nice. I remember it coming out. I just, at the time, I think I wasn't as heavy into physical media as I am now. So I was still kind of in that viewer mode where I would see stuff come out from like Scream Factory, but I was just kind of like, oh, that's cool, but I wasn't buying yet. I didn't have the itch like I do now.
Yeah, see, I didn't buy a lot of that shit back then, which I wish I did, because now it's like super expensive for all that shit that came out like the first few years. But like, whenever I saw that came out, I'm such a huge Halloween fan, and where they made like basically the perfect box set for me. I was like, I gotta get it. I have to get it.
Oh yeah.
And if we do a physical media thing, that will be on there, and so will the Phantasm one that we'll go put out. That's like each movie, not like the Sphere one. They have like a Sphere one, and they've got a bunch of them, but the one that has like him on the front, it's in a box. It looks like one of the Scream Factory sets. It's got 5 cases in it.
Yeah,
that set is freaking awesome.
I've got the Well-Go. I've got the cheap one, not the little one that they finally put, but it's like the Well-Go set, but it's like all of them in just like a little package, in a Blu-ray package. It's like a red front. I got it at McKay's. I don't have the big one, and I also don't have the Sphere. But yeah, I have that one. And I think what's weird is the Well-Go, they repurposed the Scream Factory versions.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that works. Like for Welgo has Phantasm 1, and then they have Ravager. But for like 2 and 3, or at least for 2, they're doing the Scream Factory version. I don't really understand that, how they get the rights to do that, unless they just have a deal with Scream Factory.
They have a deal with them. It's just like for those other sets, Scream Factory has deals with Dimension and stuff like that for those Halloween movies, or Miramax, I guess.
Yeah. It's I don't know why Don Coscarelli
doesn't have them.
Yeah, I don't know why he keeps going to Welgo. That's such a random place.
I think they're like defunct now.
Yeah. Because he seems to he keeps pushing them on that, and I was just kind of like, that's a weird company to be pushing such a big. Because he actually had Bad Robot do the remaster for Phantasm, which is kind of okay. Let's see.
That's the one I'm talking about for the Welgo set that I like. That's the one I have. Which if I was at home, I'd show, but I'm in this hotel. But that one is so awesome, dude. Because it's like a hard box, and every one of them has like reversible art with those cover arts, which I flipped to mine. Mm-hmm. If you could really take the fifth one out, and it'd be okay. But I'm not really a huge Ravager fan, but
yeah, Ravager's a rough watch, man. It's not a.
It's basically a fan-made movie.
Unfortunately, yeah, it's kind of rough. I don't know. I don't love it. I mean, I understand they were trying to do something, and we'll have to do that on another show. That's a whole other Phantasm's like a whole other thing. But yeah, I don't know. I wish they kind of would have just left it be at 4, but I understand they were just trying to do some fan service. So
yeah, because 4 is pretty good actually. Like I rewatched all of them last year, and I was surprised at how good 4 was, because I remembered liking 1 and 2, and then liking 3 okay, and then really disliking 4. But then whenever I went back and rewatched them, I didn't like 3 at all, and I actually really liked 4.
Yeah, it's 3 and 4 are a little. I always forget. It's as many times as I watch them, I always get them mixed up because
3 has that kid that's got like the Home Alone house.
Yes.
That has that hat with the blades on it or whatever.
Yeah,
or whatever it is. I can't remember. He's got a frisbee with like razor blades that he throws.
Yes.
Like, what?
And 4 is the one where Mike is just kind of walking around the desert.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like they didn't know what to film.
Yeah, it's like he's in a desert with the car is in a desert, and then it's got like flashbacks to the first movie and shit, where they just use footage that they filmed for the first movie.
Nice. Yeah.
But I liked that one, to be honest. I thought it was pretty good. Another thing I wanted to talk about is I was watching Planet CHH. He had this guy Tabata Vision on as like a guest.
Yeah. He's funny, that Brandon Tabata. He seems like a pretty funny guy, yeah.
And he seems like a really big Halloween fan as well. But he had him on, and he was talking about his favorite slasher movies. And it was a weird list.
Really?
His number 10 out of his all-time favorite slashers was Valentine.
Oh, that's funny.
And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, man, I think Valentine's better than any Scream movie. And
what?
Like, oh, shit.
He's the guy. Is he the guy that has the New Year's Evil mask? Or New Year's Evil mask he wears it. He seems like a pretty funny guy, yeah.
Yeah, and people were like, they were surprised that New Year's Evil was not on the list.
Yeah.
And then he had Halloween at number 5.
What?
Out of his top 10. And Halloween 2 was like number 2 or 3. He was like, Halloween 2 is better than he said Halloween 2 and Halloween 4 were both better than Halloween.
Man, see, that's where
I don't know about that.
That's a big, that's a thing now. And I don't know when that started. Like, I will admit, Halloween 281, probably my favorite of the series because it's just the first. But Halloween 1 is the best in my opinion. It's still the best. I mean, 4. I don't know where the thing with 4 start. People now a lot of people do love 4 the most, and I don't, but I definitely can see there is a thing there. A lot of people say that now. It seems
I like Halloween 4 a lot. I've always liked it. It was the first one I ever saw. So like that one to me, I mean, they've all real nostalgic for me, but number 4 is really nostalgic. I love the way it opens. I think it's got a lot of good atmosphere. But really, it's kind of like a Force Awakens situation. It's like a soft reboot of the first movie because you've got Michael Myers going after one person, which is Jamie. Dr. Loomis comes to town, warns the sheriff that Michael Myers is coming to Haddonfield, just like in the first movie. And then, there's different situations that happen, but it's very similar. And somebody's babysitting somebody. It's a very similar situation of the first movie. I think if you plug Michael Myers, though, if you take Dick Warlock's Michael Myers from Halloween 2 and put him in Halloween 4 might be my favorite sequel.
Yeah.
Because like that's the worst part of the movie is Michael Myers.
Definitely, I agree. I know we had talked about the performances before with those in an episode, and I agree. That's you put a different Michael in a mask, it's like a whole new movie.
Rest in peace, George Wilbur.
Yeah,
he did. I liked him a lot. Very great Michael Myers. He wasn't my favorite, but he was part of the Halloween legacy. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, and it's a hard job, man, playing a character like that where you have nothing to rely on but your body. I think it's so easy, and I'm guilty of it. Like, some movies I prefer over others and performances, and I'm guilty of like ripping on some stunt performers, but that's hard, man. I mean, you got to do something unique, and you don't want to copy someone. And it's like it's easy as a fan to be like, "Hey, why don't you just do it exactly like this?" But as an actor, you don't want to just be like a guy who's copycatting the guy before you. So that's not easy, man.
It's one of those things where it's like it's easy to overthink it, but then it's easy to not put enough thought into it.
Yeah.
Like you can easily like overthink it, like because really it's a guy in a mask that's going around, so you can overthink it and like try and make it like something more than it is. But then at the same time, if you don't put any thought into it at all, then it's still it's one of the most important roles in the movie.
Yeah, and Nick Castle, that's what he was very just like he was very much just like he's doing it. It's just him. He's not really trying to do anything.
Right. Which he set the precedent for everybody else. Like, here it is,
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was lucky for him. He didn't have to follow up anybody.
You mean it wasn't Tony Moran doing it?
Oh, God.
My gosh, that whole thing. You've watched I think we talked about that. You've seen the whole Nancy.
I saw that, and I saw the Sean Clark video that Dead Pit did, and I'm so glad Sean Clark just put it to bed. I mean, Tony's just jealous of Sean, and that's all there is to it. I mean, Sean's more popular and more famous for Halloween than Tony is, and Tony was in the first movie. But I mean, it's because he's an asshole. So
he's crazy, man.
Yeah, yeah.
And isn't that nuts that someone who, even though, like, if you look at Tony Moran's filmography, he was an actor, even if it was small. He was in small roles, and that is kind of an honor to be the guy to be like, yeah, I was the guy who was Michael unmasked in the biggest horror movie ever. But he's just, like you said, he's such a crazy ass.
He was honest and authentic about it and was like, yeah, I was the guy that was Michael Myers in that scene. And he was a nice guy about it. People would love him.
Yeah.
But they don't because he's an asshole. And he's like, oh, yeah, I was Michael Myers in this and this and this. Like all the shit he wasn't Michael Myers in.
Yeah.
And then he's just rude to everybody. And he tries to come off like some badass tough guy that he's not. He's not at all. He's an old man now.
and apparently, and I didn't realize he was doing this, but he's I think a few people have brought this up about how what he was doing is he would go to the conventions, he would learn information and then act like it was his info. Like he'd be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, did you know about this?" And
Yeah,
he's basically just,
he's like telling stories of shit that he heard people say.
yeah,
It's like, why, dude?
so ridiculous. Like you said,
God.
he'd be so much better if he was just a guy who was just a normal dude. He went to the cons and he was like, "Yeah, I did this thing and it's cool." And he was just humble and that didn't act like a big shot. Hell, if he would have done that, he probably would have gotten offered something on the new Halloween movies. They probably
He
would have
would
been
have.
like,
He would have. The scenes where Michael Myers was unmasked, I guarantee you they would have asked him to do it.
yeah,
And also, I guarantee you the dude would never have to work a day in his life.
yeah, for
He could
sure.
just go to those conventions and make tons of money, but now he's like blacklisted on tons of them.
He was at Full Moon last year, and I just can't believe they even brought him. But I guess they weren't. I don't know if that was after the whole fiasco of him talking shit.
Well, I
No,
feel like he kind of fits in with the tattoo crowd because he's like a macho badass. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
even though he's not, I mean, I feel like he kind of like identifies with them. Like, I'm like, oh my god.
So yeah, the only thing I swear, yeah, we could definitely go all day about that. The only thing I had lately was yeah, Scream 6 is coming up. There's a fan event on Thursday. It's March the 9th. And so I've got a ticket to that. I don't know exactly. I think it's like a 3D showing. I think they give you like a poster. I don't really know what else it is. I usually don't do 3D, but I thought to myself, well, Thursday night before usually is not too bad because then you actually get true fans. You're not getting like idiots. So maybe the crowd will be better. So
I'm gonna see it. I just gotta figure out when. Because I think I'm gonna be off that day. So I could, or actually no, I think I'm supposed to be off that day. So I might go Thursday. I'll definitely see it either Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. One of those three.
yeah, I've learned with especially going to the theater now, horror movies, if you go late at night, it's not too bad. If you go at like the normal times, like 7 o'clock or early in the afternoon, it's like you're just getting a lot of the idiots at the movie
Go
theater.
7 on Friday. That's the best time.
Yeah, like last year when I saw Scream 5, I went Thursday night at like 11. It was great. It was like, there were fans there, but it wasn't loud. Nobody was acting stupid. It was just people who wanted to see the movie. So
when I saw Scream 5, I think I went to like a 12 p.m. showing or something like that. And there's like hardly nobody there.
That too, you get there early. That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like in the middle of a week. I think it was like a Tuesday like at 12. There was like no one there. Which is nice because like it's kind of fun. Like if it's just like you and a friend in there, then it's like you can kind of just like joke around about the movie or whatever. If there's nobody else in there,
yeah.
Very, very seldom does that happen. Where I have a movie where there's no one in there.
Especially now, it's hard to go and not see somebody. Are you getting the? Everybody's been talking about these damn popcorn buckets.
Popcorn tubs. I saw it on there and I was like, do I get it? Do I not get it? I mean, everybody's like, you can buy them direct or whatever from the theater now for like a pre-order. It's like these things aren't going to be worth anything because everyone's going to have one.
Yeah.
But I mean, do I need it? What am I going to do with it?
Yeah, that's my thing. Like it's cool. It's a cool item, but they want like what, $20 for it. I mean, I don't know. I don't want it that bad. Like that's not really that important to me, But I think a lot of people are hoping it's going to be like super collectible, but I don't think it's going to be.
I don't know what I would do with it. I really don't. Like I wouldn't eat popcorn out of it. I don't feel like. If they gave it to me for free, I'll take it. But like, I'm not going to go out of my way to have it.
Right, exactly. Yes, exactly. Because for me, if I had it, it would just be sitting on the shelf. So yeah. I don't get all those. I know there's collectors. I know everybody especially now. That's a thing. You got to get all the goodies and the swag, but some of that stuff I just don't get it. Like I'm like, if they give it to me, whatever. Like posters, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool, but like a popcorn bucket, like
if they had a
cares, you know?
full-size poster and it was like, here, pay $20 for the full-size poster, and it
Yeah,
was a movie I liked, I would get it. You know, that'd be cool. But like, not a little popcorn tent. That's just not something I collect. You know, I collect movies and posters, and that's pretty much it.
yeah.
Like
No,
I'm not into the toy thing or the figures, you know, and I'm not into records or, you know. So I mean that I feel like that kind of fits more in the figure thing. Like people that collect figures might like that because it's like a hard plastic thing.
right.
But I don't know. I just don't want it that much. You know, it's like Spirit Halloween. Everybody goes out and buys all this Halloween shit every year. And, you know, some of it's cool. You know, I like some of it. Like they have this Camp Crystal Lake, like door thing that hangs on your door.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that's pretty cool. I've thought about getting that a couple times. I haven't ever gotten it, but like,
Yeah.
that's cool. But like, I don't know. Like, I don't need a million like, I don't need busts of Sam from Trick or Treat hanging out in my room and shit.
No.
I got too much shit everywhere in my house to get that stuff.
Yeah, I have the only thing from Spirit Halloween that I have besides mugs, like this one. Like I have this. But I have the Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the popcorn gun. I got
really?
that one. Yeah, so I figured out the gimmick with Spirit Halloween is if you want to get any of the exclusive stuff from Spirit Halloween, go 2 days after Halloween. Wait till
really?
Halloween's over. Everything's marked down 50%. And then if you can wait to the last minute, you can get in there. You can get a lot of stuff. They're just giving it away. Because I got that gun. It retails for like $40. I got that thing for like $8.
Wow.
Because they're giving them away. And I ended up getting I'm not a mask guy either. I don't have a lot of masks. But they had a Ben Affleck Batman mask, like a deluxe one. I got that thing for like $10. Like a whole cowl and everything.
See,
I was like, sure, you know.
I like masks and shit, but like all the ones that I want are like freaking like hundreds to thousands of dollars, and I'm like, I don't want it that much.
No.
You know. But another thing I do collect is shirts. I love shirts. If I see shirts and shit, like that's the only thing I like going to Hot Topic whenever I go to the mall for shirts.
Yeah.
They've got some kick-ass shirts in there and jackets and shit. Like they've got Halloween jacket. Like I bought a Halloween jacket in there this last year for Halloween. And then like, you know, just stuff like that. Like I'm always wearing like some kind of horror shirt. Like today I'm wearing a Halloween shirt.
Nice.
Like I love shirt and like Fright Rags and stuff. They have some really kick-ass shirts. They're a little expensive for me, but you know, they're pretty awesome. Some of them, like they had a Halloween shirt. It was a Halloween 6 shirt, and it was the Barry Sims radio show Halloween 6, and it was like Back Talk with Barry Sims. And
nice.
Yeah, it had Curse of Michael Myers, and it was like, call in if you think Barry sucks or something like that. It was really cool looking. And I was like, I gotta have those.
Those Fright Rags are cool. It's kind of like Fright Rags to me is kind of like what 80s tees used to be back in the day. I always mean to get more. I mean, I've got the Dead Pit.
Oh,
shirt,
the Scott Stapp shirt.
Yeah, like I do buy some of the Dead Pit shirts they put out because they're pretty reasonable price. And my wife makes she's got like a t-shirt press, so she'll make stuff sometimes if I want. Like I have some VHS shirts she's made. So I kind of make them. But yeah, man, those Fright Rags, those things are so sweet, but they are not cheap at all.
I made a couple of shirts on a freaking whatever website that is, a Dead Pig that has their shirts with like Corey from Halloween Ends. Oh man, and I bought them. Like I shipped them to my house. They're pretty cool. It's got a Roy Burns and Corey on it.
Oh, nice.
Because I was like the two misunderstood villains.
I love that one they did, the Halloween 3 and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles font. I thought that was cool. I like that one. I know it's a joke, but I loved it.
Crossovers and shit. That's cool. Like they blend like two things together, which is cool.
Yeah.
Like all that shit's cool. I love shirts, man. My wife's like, "You don't need any more shirts." I got like 300 shirts in my closet. Every week, I'm like, "Oh, look, I got a new shirt."
Hey, you'll wear them eventually, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Just go through the closet and bring them. I've got some favorites though, like the Fulci zombie shirt.
Mhm.
I got that shirt at that Fright Night Film Fest we went to,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
I have worn that shirt so much that the freaking stuff that's like on the shirt is like peeling off.
Wow.
Like I love that's my favorite shirt ever. I don't know why, I just love that artwork. Still gotta get that poster.
That's kind of funny because then it kind of makes it look like it's
Yeah, it's like
retro.
faded, dude.
Hmm.
I looked around for one of those forever because I just didn't. I was too lazy to buy it online. I was like, I want to see if somebody will sell it in person. Nobody ever had one.
Yeah.
I found one. It was like at a mall, and it was at like a record store in a mall, hanging on the wall. And I was like, oh, what size is that? And they're like, oh, it's a 4X. And I'm like, oh no,
Never mind.
never mind. Damn it. Or like they'll have cool ass shirts at Walmart or stuff, and they'll be like smalls, and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, like baby size. Yeah, that purple. Yeah, I remember that purple Halloween shirt that was out like a year or two ago.
I have one of those.
I never could find it because I always would go. They'd be like, "Oh, we have a small," and I'd be like, "Well, my big ass is not fitting in that."
That just made me think of Christian Hanna from CHH. He's like, yeah, whenever I find a cool shirt at he buys like everything. He's like, whenever I find a cool shirt at Walmart, he's like, yeah, I saw that Halloween shirt, and I was like, I'm gonna get 2 of them. It's like, why? 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 Don't understand why.
Yeah.
What does he need 2?
Well, let's see. So I guess we can jump into the top 10. So I guess this is kind of hard because we each have 5 of our favorite horror sequels ever.
Yeah, and mine are going to be in no order. I'm just going to throw out 5, and these are not necessarily my favorite ever. They're just 5 of my favorites.
So I'm actually looking at mine right now, and I have 6 on this list, and I'm going to take one off. Now,
well, if you want to say it as an honorable mention, that's fine.
Yeah,
I have some honorable mentions.
So I'm not going to. For me, I will say, these are kind of like non-big franchises. Well, they are some big franchises, but I'm kind of excluding Friday the 13th. I'm excluding Halloween. I'm excluding Nightmare, and mainly just because it's not fair for me to put those in mine. Like, I love Halloween 2. It's one of my favorites, but I'm not going to put that in this because I was trying to think like what else could I get outside of the big genres, right? So
I do have some of those on mine, but it's not all of them. It could have been all of them, but it's not all. I try to sprinkle in some other things I like too, but I do have some honorable mentions as well. So
cool. So we could either mention them or I can present whichever way. I have some pictures. Let's see. Tell you what, if you want to go first, we'll go. You can go first, and I'll go. We can just go 5 and 5, 1, 1, and then we can get up to 10.
Okay, let me pull up a honorable mention of mine.
And like you said, there's definitely no. Same with me. There's no order in this. It's just kind of like stuff I thought of.
Okay, let's see. How do I do this again? Okay. Okay, there it is. Okay, this is an honorable mention for me.
Nice.
A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. I love the movie. A lot of people, Robert Englund said that this is a lot of people's favorite Nightmare on Elm Street, which I understand. It's a great movie. It's fun. It's just really good. It's got great kills. I love all the kills in it. The characters are cool. I love how the characters have powers. It's unique. Freddy is funny in the movie, but also still serious. He's not quite crossed over to being more funny than scary. I don't know. It's a really good movie. It's one of those movies that I could pop on and watch anytime. I think it's timeless.
Mhm.
It's just really good.
Oh yeah, I think that's I definitely think that is I don't know, it might be the best Freddy sequel. I mean, I like New Nightmare the most of the sequels, but that you can't argue Dream Warriors. It's definitely and I think Craven did the script on this one, right? Did he come back for the script?
He wrote the script and then they did like a rewrite, like somebody else came in and did their own treatment on it.
Yeah. And why did
So,
he
I
not
mean, it's
direct it?
um, I don't think he wanted to.
Yeah, I
Why
couldn't
he
remember the
didn't want to,
story.
I'm not really sure, but apparently he didn't really want to.
Yeah, that whole franchise with him, especially, it's he's definitely got a Carpenter thing going, like the same with the Accods with Halloween, where he did the first one, and he's tied into a lot of them, but he never wanted to direct any more of them. And I think he did the first one in New Nightmare, right? Craven.
Yeah. He
So
didn't want to do the second one, and they showed him. I think they showed him the script for the second one, and he did not like it at all because it broke all the rules of the first one.
mhm. Yeah, I could see that, and I could also see like I can kind of get how they would be afraid to when you do something so iconic as that first one. It's like, do you really want to go back to the well, right, and try to outdo yourself, or do you want to let someone else touch it? Because I guess you can only go down from there if you mess it up. But yeah, let's see. So for my number one, and this is not my number one pick. This is just one of them. Let's see.
Gotcha. Did you have an honorable mention you wanted to do?
Yes. Let me find it. Honorable mention. Sure. I'll do an honorable mention first.
Okay.
Phantasm 2.
All right.
Yeah.
I like.
So,
It's a good movie.
yeah, that's definitely an honorable mention. Not, I wouldn't put that in top five, but it's close. It's a great sequel. Um, I really think it probably, I mean, it's definitely the best Phantasm sequel. Mike is recast, of course, but it really works as a movie. I think it's a lot of fun. I don't know if, like I said, for me, it's not. I don't know if I'd put it in top five. It's close because I don't feel the need to always watch it, but I really think it is an underrated sequel of most horror sequels. So,
Yeah, it's a really good movie. I really like it. It's got some really good special effects at the end.
mhm.
I don't know. It's really good. I love the way it ends too. I like how it ends on another cliffhanger.
Yeah,
I think it captures a lot of the spirit of the original, and it makes Reggie into like a badass. So
yeah, it really does. It's kind of like Reggie's coming out, like his movie of
yeah,
being the guy.
he basically turns into like an Ash Williams kind of character in that movie.
Mhm. Definitely.
But and then I have one more honorable mention.
Mhm.
And again, these are not. This is not necessarily my favorite. These are just ones I really love. So this is
Oh,
an honorable.
classic.
This is an honorable mention for me. Uh, this is a great movie for me. This is my favorite Friday the 13th movie.
Mhm.
It's amazing. It's got it's my favorite Jason too. Ted White was my favorite Jason.
Mhm.
Rest in peace. He was a great Jason. I think he was definitely the best human Jason too. He was so serious, so scary, menacing. He busts in through the front door, just barrels through the door, and then he's attacking Corey Feldman, attacks everybody, throws that girl out the window and
Mhm.
like onto that car, and like I don't know, he's so badass in this movie, so cool, but so threatening, like scary. I like how his fingernails are like black. Like,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Like I always thought that was like where he was like starting to rot or whatever. That's always what I thought. Like,
Mhm.
but to me, he's just really cool. Like he is very cool. And the movie's so good. Corey Feldman's great in it. And then you have I don't know why I'm blanking on his name right now. The guy from Back to the Future,
Oh, Crispin Glover. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got that weird ass dance in it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All the characters are really fun, and of course, where Corey Feldman's character has all the cool makeup effects shit and stuff. That's always really cool. The way they kill Jason is the best way ever.
Oh,
So
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Hey, Ted, corkscrew. And he,
Yeah, and then kills him. And that, you know, all that stuff's really funny. He's like, what does the computer say?
Yeah.
Like all that. Like, I don't know. It's just, it's so good. It
Yeah.
is everything that a Friday the 13th movie should be, in my opinion.
There's, you know, that movie, to me, when I think of Friday 13th, there's two iconic images that come into my head. One of them is Friday 13th 3, when he gets hit in the head with the axe at the end, and he goes like that, and he leaps forward. Like that is like in my brain always. And then the second is him busting through that fucking door in Friday 4, bam, and he comes in. Like that's
I love that.
iconic.
I think of that scene, and then in Friday the 13th Part 3, I think of the scene where he cuts that guy in half with the axe that's walking on his hands.
Oh yeah.
I think of that.
Yeah, it's definitely iconic stuff. Let's see. I guess the honorable mention for me was Phantasm. So let's go with my first. I guess number 5. Let's see. This one might be a little surprising.
Oh, okay. Devil's Rejects. All right.
Yeah, I'm a half and half Rob Zombie guy. Love some of his stuff, hate some of his stuff, but I really think this movie, as much as I love House of a Thousand Corpses, I really think this is a great sequel. I think he is a movie, he outdoes himself than the first one. This is like a lot of people think this is his masterpiece. I really can't argue that. This is probably my favorite of his is House, is a movie. I can always rewatch it, but this is probably his best movie, I think.
I think this one's the best all the way through, because House is like so good up until the end, and it kind of goes into like it feels a little long at the end, and it's like kind of crazy. But the first part is amazing.
Yeah.
But like the Devil's Rejects is just pretty good all the way through. I don't feel like any of it's as good as the first part of House, but it's all really good. I mean, it's a good movie. I don't think anybody would say it's not a good movie. It's a messed up movie too.
Yes.
So
yeah, it's a hard watch. And I think that for me, like the music's great. It's shot very well. That very grindhouse style. It's gritty, it's violent, but it's also still kind of, I wouldn't say super realistic, but it's more realistic than the first one. So it's almost like the reverse of the Texas. So like in Texas Chainsaw 1, in the original, it's gritty, and 2, it's a comedy. It's almost like he went the reverse with that. Like,
yeah, this one's like super dark.
Yeah, and House was kind of more like funny, crazy. Yeah, so it was an interesting thing that he did, and I remember seeing this in theater, and everybody that I saw it with in the theater, they were just like clapping. They loved it. Unfortunately, after this movie, I feel like he goes downhill. He's never
how there was a third one of these doesn't really make sense. It's like I'm going to kill the characters definitively, and they're going to come back. It's like, what?
Nah, I won't even watch the third one. I haven't watched it.
Yeah, I haven't. I haven't seen it. I've heard only bad things, so I'm like, I don't want to watch it.
Yeah, I feel like with these though, he just, I don't know. He should have stopped at this one, and I think he just brought it back for the third one just to capitalize. But I'm not never gonna watch that one. I'm gonna leave it be at Devil's Rejects.
Yeah, I'm okay to never see that one. Also,
yeah,
just not. Oh man. Okay, let's see. So for my number 5, and again, this is not. I'm just picking from these 5. It's not in any particular order, but there we go. Okay.
Nice.
Okay, so I picked Phantasm 2. So that was your honorable mention. That's gonna be on my list. I like the movie a lot. It's just a really solid follow up. Like I said, I really like the way that it ends on a cliffhanger, just like the first one did.
Mm-hmm.
I like how it kind of repeats the ending of the first movie. I thought that was really cool. I don't know. It's a really good movie. I feel like, it's fun. It's not like, it doesn't ask too many questions. Like, I feel like the other Phantasm movies, they bring up more questions than answers. And it's like, what the hell I don't know what's happening most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But this one's just pretty straightforward.
Yeah. I think so. This
and it's
one
more actiony.
definitely. Yeah, I think that is true. Yeah, this was probably the most action-packed one of all the sequels.
Which, I mean, a lot of people don't like the first one that much. I've heard a lot of people now say the first one's kind of boring. So, I mean, if you didn't like the first one, but you like the ideas of it, then this one's for you, because this one's a lot more fast-paced. It kind of gets to the core of it gets to the business. It doesn't, it doesn't screw around. It is just Phantasm, all the action. Personally, I love the first one, but this one's really good.
Yeah. Why did they, and I'm trying to remember, why did James LaGrosse get cast as Michael? Was it a money thing? Or?
Yeah, no, it was a Universal thing. So basically, they got Universal to do this movie, to produce it, and that was the only way that Coscarelli could have it done. And they actually had Reggie and a Michael Baldwin had to audition for the roles of Mike and Reggie.
Wow.
And they gave Reggie the part, but they did not like a Michael Baldwin. So so they gave it to James LaGrosse. So
wow. Yeah, that's kind of lame. I mean, I don't know. I think James LaGrosse did fine in the movie. It's just it is lame that Mike.
It's just weird.
Yeah, he didn't get to do it. But I mean, I do think James LaGrosse was probably overall a better actor, but it's still just kind of lame, just considering that first movie, it was such a hometown, like it was like a family production. Like they all knew each other, they all worked on it. I think it took them like 3 years to make the first movie on and off. So that's kind of a bummer he didn't get to do the second one, but I guess he did get the third. He got to come back. But,
yeah, there's the Taking Shape book. The same guy, Dustin McNeil, he wrote a book about the Phantasm movies. It's called Phantasm Exhumed. It's really good.
Wow.
It is really good. It goes in like detail, because like Angus Scrimm wrote a diary like every day whenever he made all these movies. So he's got like excerpts from his diary where he talks about the shooting and shit. And it's pretty wild, but it's fun. So that's a really good book. I would definitely recommend that.
I haven't heard of that one. Yeah, I knew the Taking Shape, but I didn't know they did.
And you can get it on Audible. That's where I get it. That's where I listen to all mine. So it's really awesome. All his books are on there too. He's got a Chucky one that's supposed to be coming out pretty soon.
Nice. Yeah, I need to get the second Taking Shape.
Oh, that one is killer. That one's so good. I like that one more than the first one, because the first one's like, here's everything that happened with all these Halloween movies up to 2018. Taking Shape 2, I didn't know hardly any of that shit. It was like, here's all these unmade Halloween sequels, and I had never heard of like almost any of them. Oh, and speaking of which, you know what? I was looking back at our last podcast where we were talking about Halloween. We were talking about Rob Zombie's Halloween. How it leaked or whatever. And I regret not saying this. I remember there was a version that I read, and it had young Michael whenever he kills that kid from Spy Kids. At the beginning, he pees on him.
Oh God!
I remember that. Why, I do not know.
Yikes! I'm glad they left that out of the version.
Yeah, that was a good excise there, because that would have been really. Oh my God! He really wanted him to be badass and brutal.
Yuck. Let's see. So my number 4. This is horror. I mean, it's kind of horror. It's not. So this is action, sci-fi horror.
I almost put that on my list.
Yeah, a lot of people argue this isn't a horror movie. I would say it is a horror movie. It's just kind of also other things.
I would say it's horror adjacent.
Yeah, I mean the first one is definitely a horror movie. This
Hmm.
is probably the best sequel ever, in my opinion, of any movie. I can't think of a sequel aside from maybe like Terminator 2.
Terminator 2.
Yeah, that's probably
It's,
it.
to me, for me, Terminator 1 and 2 and Aliens are in the same boat. If anybody prefers Terminator over Terminator 2 or Alien over Aliens, I totally get it. They're both amazing.
Yeah.
Because for me, I like Alien better than Aliens, but I like Terminator 2 more than Terminator. But they're like that close.
Neck and neck. Yeah, it's kind of just taking it in a different funny enough, both of those movies you got well, Terminator you got James Cameron on both, but Aliens you have James
Hmm.
Cameron. With Aliens, I think, and I know that Dead Pit, they did a stream. I think some of those guys were talking about this the other night. They were talking about Aliens, and I agree with what they were saying was, Aliens, it introduces a lot of lore, like the way the aliens act. It introduces the alien queen. It's got all those great puppets and all those great effects. Stan Winston, just the way that they learn their behavior about how the more they're around people, the smarter they get. Like it's just there's so much there, and I think the hero's journey with Ripley is just like incredible in that movie. Just how in the first one, she's just a survivor. She's on this ship. She survives. She gets out. She's just a person who is surviving. There's nothing really. I mean, she's heroic, but there's not like she's just trying to get out of there. And the second one, it's kind of like she has to face everything again. It's like you want to come back here, and she's talked into going back, and then
She's more of a hero, like a traditional hero in Aliens.
was it LV-426? Is that where they were going?
Yeah.
And it's like it's just it's ironic in that movie because she's around Marines, but she's the badass. She's
Right.
just like,
Because she's the one that's fought them before. So
yeah.
she knows what they're about.
Hmm.
Which Alien to me, Alien is like a slasher movie with an alien. I mean, it's pretty much a slasher movie in space because, like,
Hmm.
she's basically like the, the heroine that survives at the end in the first movie. She's basically like that.
Yeah.
Whereas, like you're saying, in Aliens, she's more of like a badass. It's same with like Sarah Connor in Terminator 1 and 2. She's
Yeah.
like because Terminator 1's kind of similar to a slasher movie in its own right. Sarah Connor is just kind of there trying to survive. But in the second movie, she's like a badass. So
Yeah.
James Cameron knows how to make a sequel. You take the first movie and you just make it bigger.
Yeah. Yeah. Just blow it up. Yeah. I think my favorite scene in this movie, it always sticks with me, is I love it when the Marines are out there investigating and they go radio silent because they start getting everyone like a poem. They just come down on them, and she just gets in that car and like comes after them. I love that, like the music and like how she's just like, I just love that turn. She's just like this person, and she's like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna save these bastards right now." Like
Right.
that's just the coolest. That's the coolest thing, and I think it's just I don't know. I think that story in a way has been redone a lot with other movies, but like you said, it's not. I don't know if it's fair to call it. It has horror elements in it, and I
Hmm.
think probably the most horror thing in the movie is the alien queen scene, and then the beginning where they see the lady strapped up. She's cocooned in, and the chest burster
Yeah.
comes out. Other than that, it's pretty much a sci-fi action
And
movie.
all the
So
stuff with Newt too. Whenever she's running away from the aliens and stuff, they try and really ham up the horror parts on those scenes.
yeah,
But like that's the thing with Alien 3. Like I want to try and like Alien 3 because I know a lot of people that love Alien 3, but like
hmm
when you start off with okay, sorry, Newton Hicks got killed. I'm like, okay.
yeah,
So just ruin the ending of the last one.
yeah. I don't hate Alien 3, but I don't love it. It's just kind of a mixed bag for me.
I don't like it that much. And I actually, this is going to be weird. I kind of like Alien Resurrection. It's stupid, but I kind of like it
Yeah,
because of how stupid it is.
It is kind of silly, but it's not. It's enjoyable. I mean, I kind of like revisiting it
I really
sometimes.
don't dislike any of them. Like Prometheus is okay. The Alien Covenant, it's okay. Michael Fassbender is the best part of those movies. But
Oh yeah, especially Covenant. Covenant is like I think Covenant is better than Prometheus in my opinion, but I think
Mhm,
that what he accidentally did in those movies was with Covenant especially, he was unintentionally making a good android movie with
mhm.
aliens. He wasn't it was almost like he was making a Blade Runner movie versus making an alien movie
Yeah,
because
because like
that's.
I remember when that movie came out, made posted something funny. I was like, what I've always wanted to see, Michael Fassbender playing a flute with Michael Fassbender.
Right.
Because there's like two of them. Oh my god,
It's funny.
that's yeah,
Yeah.
that's a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I think I saw that in theater, Covenant. I can't recall.
And like he's like almost gonna kiss himself. It's like what was happening? It's weird. He does not know where he's going because like Prometheus, it's like we're gonna end with like this pseudo alien, and we're gonna work our way there, and then an Alien Covenant's like, screw it, we're just gonna have the alien.
Yeah, they just
Like,
went for it. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh man, so I see your
Okay.
next one.
So here's my next pick. Again, no particular order. This would probably be very close to the top of the list for me. But sequel, Dawn of the Dead, sequel to Night of the Living Dead, to me, surpasses Night of the Living Dead. Although I love Night of the Living Dead, I think Night of the Living Dead is a scarier movie
hmm
than Dawn of the Dead. Parts of the opening to Night of the Living Dead is very scary. I think I always think of myself in that situation, like where she's running away from the zombie that's trying to get in the car with her. And it's just so real the way they play that, where he like takes that brick and he's like hitting it against the window and stuff like that seems great. But Dawn of the Dead as a whole, Dawn of the Dead's like a cultural phenomenon. Like it's such a big movie and it's so cool. It's such a good idea. It's got
hmm
so many fun scenes in it. The characters are really fun. It's not a movie that's wholly about zombies. It's a really kind of like Jaws. It's a movie where you've got your villain, but then
hmm
all the characters in the story are around it. And, they're really interesting and they take up more of the movie than the zombies do. Like, how are we going to deal with these characters dealing with this? Whatever it may be. It could be you could replace the zombies. It wouldn't be as good, but with like an outbreak of monkeys or something like that. And like the characters would still carry the movie.
Yeah, this was I had thought about putting this on. The only reason so when I was thinking about this, I didn't know if we considered this a sequel or just another movie because I almost put this on because I agree this is kind of like a perfect zombie movie. It's a perfect movie. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's no for a long time. I think for a long time, I in my mind I thought Day of the Dead is the best of the three, and then I rewatched this last year in theater again, and I said, you know what, I'm wrong. This is the best. This is the best.
I like Day of the Dead a lot. I think Day of the Dead is underrated. I
Yeah,
think a lot of people are coming around to Day of the Dead now as like seeing it as really good.
yeah,
But I think Dawn of the Dead's just better. I
yeah.
think like you were saying, Dawn of the Dead's like a perfect zombie movie. It's not my favorite zombie. We'll have to do that sometime. Favorite zombie movies.
That'd be cool.
I have a weird ass choice for number one, but
Interesting.
anywho, it's a good movie. This is a great movie. If you want a great zombie movie, here you go. I know some modern audiences might think the effects are slightly outdated because like the blood's like ultra bright and stuff, but like I don't know. It's so good. I don't have any issues with the movie at all.
That's charming, and I mean, it's been said before, but man, I mean, the what George, like you were talking about the human element. I mean, this movie is a movie that it's got heart, it's got story, and George Romero is the guy who he really did the template for this stuff. I mean, Walking Dead, the way that they made Walking Dead about the humans and Negan and all this stuff, none of that would exist without this. None of it at all.
Nope, this is the template for it. And the music in this movie's kick ass too. I didn't even mention that.
Oh yeah, Goblin, yeah, man. It's so killer. I mean, it's this is like one of those movies to where it's I don't know. It's not it is talked about, but it's almost like even though it's discussed, I think people forget just how great of a film it is. I think it gets all the attention of being a zombie film, but I think just as a film, people forget just how well done it is
I don't
overall.
hear people talk about it a ton. Honestly, I don't. I feel like zombie movies are starting to fade. Like, I don't
Yeah.
really hear that many people talk about zombie movies. I hear people talk about The Walking Dead, but I don't hear people talk about zombie movies that much. You know,
Yeah.
like Dawn of the Dead, like, you know, like, and I mean more mainstream. Like, I hear people in groups talk about it, but I don't hear people talk about the Dawn of the Dead and the Return, you know, Return of the Living Dead and stuff like that. Like,
Hmm.
it's not as popular. Like Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, all that shit is like super popular. Like, I see people talk about it all that time, but like, I don't ever go to, well, I guess part of this is probably Richard Rubenstein's fault that we don't see like merchandise and stuff for Dawn of the Dead.
Hmm. Yeah, he's God. That guy kind of hoards all of it. It seems like, and
Because
right.
if he signed deals for merchandising and shit for all that, like we would see it in stores all the time. And I don't ever see anything for Dawn of the Dead in the store. Really, any of Romero's zombie movies, I don't ever see anything. Night of the Living
No,
Dead, that's about it. But anybody can make that. I can make
yeah,
a Night of the Living Dead shirt.
yeah, not even Day of the Dead. I mean, and it's like I think we had talked about this before, but like even the last U.S. release of Dawn of the Dead was Anchor Bay. That's crazy. 2000,
2008.
yeah, 2008. Like what the how? That's insane to me that a movie can be so iconic and it can be hoarded the way it has, and Second Sight, all that. I get that, but like,
But
man,
not in the
like,
US. I can't play those other, you know, the Blu-rays. I don't have a region free player. I can only play the 4K feature, and that's it.
can you imagine if like Nightmare on Elm Street? Cool. Oh well, not
Oh,
that
yeah.
one, but can you
Bad
imagine if
choice.
like Halloween or
Friday the
any
13th.
if it was just in the UK, like you couldn't get a US release? That would be the weirdest thing,
Because, I mean, think
you
about
know?
Friday the 13th right now, what they got going on. They have that Scream Factory box set.
Hmm.
They have steel books of 1 through 4, and those are coming out every year. And
Hmm.
they're releasing 4Ks of the movies like per year. They've got like they have like 3 runs going on at the same time or the same movies.
Yeah,
Like Dawn of the Dead hasn't had one in 2008.
I just hope eventually something happens. I think Arrow Video would be the perfect one to do it if they did, but
Yeah, because they did that in the UK around that time. That was a really cool set.
okay.
Yeah, whenever they did that on Blu-ray, they did the Dawn of the Dead. It was like one of those white ones that had the window on it or whatever that like came out.
I
I
have to
never
look that
got
up.
it,
I don't
but that
think I,
was a UK. That was an Arrow UK thing.
yeah. Let's see. So my 3 is gonna be
I
not
wonder if we'll have
really
any overlap between our last 3 here.
Army of Darkness.
Oh, okay. Now, see, I almost put Evil Dead 2 on mine,
Hmm.
but I backed off.
Yeah, so I considered Evil Dead 2. I went with Army of Darkness because it's one of my favorites, one of my favorite movies. I just think this is the one where I feel like this is the movie that made the series what it is to everybody.
Hmm.
Because I feel like Evil Dead 2 is probably the best. I think objectively, most people would say Evil Dead 2 is the best movie of the series. But I feel like Army of Darkness is why everybody remembers the series because it's kind of where people remember Ash, right? Like if you just ended at Evil Dead 2, Evil Dead 2 would kind of be like this great cult film. But Army of Darkness, everybody now is like, oh yeah, Ash, Evil Dead. Like they know like the one-liners, they know all this stuff. And it's just such a great like to me it's like the perfect horror comedy. It's just so like ridiculous and funny and memorable and nostalgic. I will say I'm kind of partial to this because it's nostalgic for
You got
me.
your nostalgia blinders on.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's why if someone says Evil Dead 2 is better, I can't disagree with that as a film. It is, but this is my nostalgia.
Evil Dead 2 is my favorite, but I love Army of Darkness, and I've listened to both of Bruce Campbell's his autobiographies,
Yeah,
and this is like the culmination of everything they like, because him and Sam Raimi love the Three Stooges. They
right.
love the Three Stooges, so this is huge, like physical comedy, slapstick stuff.
Mm,
Honestly, my favorite part of the movie is whenever Ash is messing around with the evil ashes, like those miniature evil ashes,
it's great.
and he like eats one, and he's like, or he swallows it, and he like gets to boiling hot water. He's like
How about some hot
drinking.
chocolate? Will you?
Yeah, I love that. God, and then he makes like a gauntlet, and then if all this shit at the beginning of the movie is really cool too, like where he's in that pit and he's fighting a monster, and he like whips his belt around that chain. Like, I don't know, it's cool. Like,
The whoosh.
yeah,
Yeah, there's so many. My favorite scene in the movie is the ending. I love the S Mart ending because it's just such a iconic. Like, it's like everything representative of Ash. He's a loser working in a department store. No one believes him, and then he saves the day. It's like everything in that scene is like exactly what Ash is. Even though the alternate ending, I think, is pretty clever, where
I
he
love the
sleeps too
alternate
long.
ending so much. That's so Ash.
Yeah, that is definitely.
But I'll say this movie really segues into that show really good too, though. Like the show is a great continuation to Army of Darkness.
Yeah, which it's weird because I don't. I think I read this that they technically couldn't say Army of Darkness in the show because of a rights thing, so they had to act like it. I don't know if it's that they had to act like it didn't happen, but they couldn't bring it up or they couldn't
They
show
couldn't mention
clips,
events that happened in Army of Darkness.
which is so weird. I guess because it's Universal,
Yeah.
maybe. So that's
Yeah,
very
which
odd.
same time they were making Army of Darkness. Across the row, Adam Marcus was making Jason Goes to Hell.
I didn't know that.
So
Interesting.
that's why the Necronomicon is in Jason Goes to Hell. Him and the writer were visiting the set, and he was like, "Can I borrow this?" And he's like, "Yeah." What are you using it for? And he's like, "Oh, I'm going to use it in Jason Goes to Hell, the movie I'm making." He's like, "Yeah, sure." Sam Raimi was like, "Yeah, go for it. That's cool."
Wow.
And he just put it in the movie. And he said that whenever they first did it, there was nothing behind it. They just threw it in there for like a gag. But people now are like, Jason's powered by the Necronomicon.
Man, that's hilarious. But yeah, it's definitely a good one. Let's see.
All right, let's see. Which one am I going to pick next? That'll be a good one. Let's see. There we go.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I decided to pick something a little different for this one. It's it's one of those newer sequels where they go back to the original. Now, I had never read this book that this is based on by Stephen King. I love The Shining. I think The Shining is great. I think it's one of the best horror performances ever by Jack Nicholson. Even though,
Definitely.
I heard you guys saying on that stream last night, Jack Nicholson is just crazy. That's the only thing he plays is crazy. Like the whole movie, he's just crazy. So whenever he turns crazy, it's not really a huge surprise because he was already crazy at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I love the movie. It's so good, so atmospheric, so great. I saw this movie and I had no idea what to expect. I didn't even know it was a sequel to The Shining at first. Like I didn't watch any ads for it or nothing. And I watched it and I was blown away by it. I was like, damn, that was good. And Ewan
Man.
McGregor is awesome in this movie. Awesome in this movie.
So I have not. It's embarrassing. I've seen clips of this. I have not seen this yet, and I keep meaning to because I love Mike Flanagan's stuff. This is on my list. This is like the top 3 movies I keep meaning to watch.
This movie is so damn good. I was surprised because I was like, how do you do a sequel to The Shining? Because like The Shining's such a good movie. I didn't think it could be done, but I went into it and I didn't know what to expect. And it's so good. Because like for me, The Shining, I always kind of played off the supernatural part and said it was mostly just Jack's crazy,
Yeah.
I didn't really think it was a huge supernatural piece, but Dr. Sleep plays into the supernatural element. And
Mhm.
it's so the way they do it is so good. It's so believable. It is freaking great.
Is it shot similar to the original, or is it a whole different style?
It is, I would say, because like they go back to the place and it's shot like almost the same. Mike Flanagan, he makes a lot of visual nods to the original. It's a really smart movie too. There's tons of stuff in the background and the way scenes are framed, and it's got stuff from The Shining in it and stuff, more stuff than I'm sure I even know. But like it's great, man. You've got to see it.
Nice. I'm gonna have to eventually get on that.
You have got to see that, dude.
So my number, let's see, this would be my number two. Like I said, this is not in order. I'm just kind of going through them. Here's one we had discussed recently. Right.
Scream 2.
Definitely.
I thought you would say that.
Yeah, this is, I have to put it in there. This is just definitely my top 5 favorite horror sequels. And I love this movie. It's not better than part 1, but it's my favorite of the Scream movies. It just works. Yeah, like what we were talking about last time, it works as a movie, and it's I just think it's really underrated as a sequel in general.
I
So
agree. I don't think many people talk about Scream 2 that much. I think people overlook it. And in fact, I see a lot of people don't like Scream 2 as much anymore. I
mhm.
see people that say Scream 4 is their second favorite.
What?
Yeah,
Scream
I shit
4?
you not. Scream 4 is either your least favorite or it's the best since the original.
That's
And I have
insane to
no
me.
idea how, which we'll talk about that
Ugh.
soon. I have got to see that again, but
Mhm.
oh my god, dude. Yes, for me, Scream 4 is terrible, but some people love it. It's their second favorite, and I do not understand how. To me, this is by far the second best. I think this movie is amazing. Again, like I said in the last episode, I love Mickey, even though he makes no sense
No,
as the
no,
killer.
not at all.
He hams it up, and I love it, and just all the shit in it. I mean, it's a really good movie. It's a really good sequel. It does exactly what a sequel should do. So.
Yeah, I could even understand someone saying Scream 5 is their second favorite, or because Scream 5 was like
Mhm.
a redo on the first one, but like 4, man, that's just holy shit. I don't
Yeah,
know how
Scream
that.
5 I really like. Scream 4, I just don't
Ugh.
understand. Like maybe when I rewatch it, it's all gonna come together for me, but I doubt it.
Scream 4 is like the Tokyo Drift of the franchise. It's like why I don't know. I
It's
and
so
I
dumb. Like the motivation is really dumb. It's like, oh, Sydney's cousin is or niece or what I can't even remember, Jill or whatever. She's like, she's jealous of Sydney. That's it. Like,
Oh my
really?
gosh.
Which we'll
Yeah.
get there in our next episode, but still, it's like, what?
It's a dumb motivation. Yeah. And
Yeah.
and Emma Roberts as a killer is just like, oh, so
I
bad.
just remember that scene where she beats herself up, and it was so damn stupid. I was laughing.
Mhm.
God. Oh man,
Yikes.
but that's a good pick though. I really like that one.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
so for my next pick, this would be if I was doing these in order. I will admit this is my favorite sequel ever.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh, classic.
Halloween 2. It's my favorite sequel. I love Halloween 2.
Mhm.
I've still got one to present. It's just a movie I'm very passionate about. But Halloween 2 is my favorite sequel. Back whenever I was younger, parts of me liked Halloween 2 more than the first movie. Now
Mhm.
I definitely do just like the first one the best. I think it's just head and shoulders better than any of the others. But Halloween 2 is really good. It's got everything in it. To me, Halloween 2 feels like the same night. Like the way it continues from the first movie, the way the credits look, the way, everything looks, it just feels like the first movie to me.
Yeah.
And I love it, man. It's so good. A lot of people talk this one down now too. Like a lot of people don't like Halloween 2 as much anymore. I've heard like based on everybody I see on YouTube,
Mhm.
Halloween 2 is like further down their list. And I'm like, damn, I don't know how.
I
And
don't get that.
I'm really nostalgic to this movie. I won't lie about that.
Mhm.
But Sean Clark's the same way because I know Sean Clark watched this one in the theater as well, and he watched it in the theater when it came out, and he loves this movie, and I love this movie, and to me, nothing's gonna top Halloween 2. To me, it's like a perfect sequel. I love it. I love the fade in scene with the nurse where he comes in with the needle, just like the
Yes.
fade in scene in the first movie. You know, it's so cool. I love the scene where Laurie's beating on the front door of the hospital and Michael's walking after her. I love
Mhm.
the scene right after that when he just walks through a glass door.
Sugar glass.
I love the scene. I mean, I love the scene where she's hiding in that car and Jimmy comes out of the car and he just like, I'm gonna get us out of here, and he just falls on the floor.
Oh man.
And I like, for some reason, you know, I think, you know, it's the 80s, but like, you notice everybody that works at that freaking hospital drives like a 1950s car.
It's like nothing's current. There's no
No,
80s cars.
no. Everybody drives like an ancient car. But then the beginning scene's so cool whenever he kills the girl that's next door.
Yeah. Mhm.
And he goes in their house and he, you know, she says, Harold, do you want mayonnaise or mustard on your sandwich?
Mhm.
And he's watching Night of the Living Dead. And then she
Miss,
turns around. She's like, "Ah."
yeah, that Mrs. Elrod. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
And she's
man.
like, Mr. Elrod, Mrs. Elrod. Oh my God. And then he pops out and kills her. I don't know. It's so good. And, you know, I don't know. I love it. It's perfect to me.
It really it's amazing. I mean, there's so many things about this. It's weird to think that people don't acknowledge it anymore because, like, I think you were talking about that scene where he goes in and steals the knife, the Elrod scene.
Hmm.
That's like the best shot of any Halloween movie. So it's called the I forget the term. It's called triple dipolar or something. It's the same thing that Brian De Palma
You're
does.
talking about the split diopter.
Split diopter. It's what Brian De Palma does in a lot of his movies. You got basically Mr. Elrod asleep. You've got her watching him, and then you've got Michael in the back with the knife watching her.
Right.
That is like unbelievable. That it's like if I'm thinking of my two favorite shots in the Halloween series, it's that one, and it's Michael burning in Halloween 2018 in the stairs where he's looking up through the bars. Those are like the best shots of the
I
whole
love that shot.
series.
That's probably my favorite shot of Halloween 2. Whenever he takes the knife, I love that shot.
Yeah,
And my other favorite shot is probably my favorite shot in the entire franchise. And whenever he comes up the steps in the first movie and he's in the
yeah.
background, she's talking to Tommy
Oh,
and they
that's
turn
great.
around and he's standing there. That's my
Mhm.
favorite shot of the entire series.
Oh, it's terrifying. Yeah, because this movie. It is weird though that I don't know. I don't understand why it doesn't get noticed or remembered as much. And I know people. The biggest complaint about this movie that I hear lately, in general, is like everyone else talks about the wig thing, which
Hmm.
it is what it is, right? It's not that big of a deal. And yeah, Lori is not in the movie a ton, but the movie itself.
That's the only part that I can say is not good about the movie is the fact that Lori is not
Mhm.
she didn't really play that big of a factor in it. She's kind of like mute most of the movie.
Yeah, and this movie is probably the creepiest of all of them. I mean, what I noticed about this is like Alan Howarth's score. It's so eerie, like that, like synthy, like
It is.
way he did it. It was just creepy. Like I don't know if there's a Halloween sequel that's like creepier than this movie. The way it's
Now I
done.
love the way he takes John's score and then he makes it like synthy, and then he
Mhm.
adds his own little, like, it's really slow. Like, there one track I really like on the movie is called Flats in the Parking Lot. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
it's so good. Like, the music in this movie is really good, and I love the theme,
Mhm.
how it's like all, you know, synthy. It's badass, and he's like, oh my God, what does he say? I've been trick or treated to death tonight. And he goes, you don't know what death is.
Yeah. Cuts into the synth theme. Yeah.
Oh man, that's so. And Mr. Sandman, it's amazing.
Oh, that's like the perfect song for this movie. I love that so much. I was hoping with the new ones they were going to figure out a way to put that in a credit scene, but they
They should
didn't do it.
have. That would have been badass.
Yeah, And there's a shot in this movie at the end, like the explosion and the Dick Warlock scene where he's walking on fire. That's crazy. Like it's always insane to see someone on fire in a movie, but that's pretty elaborate for them to do that for a horror movie. I mean,
there's one of the two original masks from Halloween burning right there.
Oh, where?
At the end of that movie, that's one of the.
Oh, yeah.
They had 3 masks, and one of them is burning right then in that scene.
Oh, wow! I didn't know that.
Yeah, they burn it.
Yeah, it's really hard to pull off that kind of stunt because it's so risky. Because even though,
especially back then,
yeah,
because that was really before it was like as safe. Like now, it's a lot safer than it was then. Like back in '81, that was really risky because there was not very long fire stunts. That was probably one of the longest fire stunts on film at that point. Because in '84, whenever Freddy did that fire stunt, that was the longest at that time. And then Kane Hodder did the longest whenever he did Friday 7. That one was really long too. That one's badass too. That's probably the coolest on fire scene ever. Is whenever Jason's on fire in the basement of Friday 13th New Blood.
Yeah, that is very elaborate. That one, and that didn't he got injured in that too, didn't he?
That one, not too bad, but Kane's. I read Kane's autobiography, and he did a fire stunt he did like a local newspaper fire stunt. He had somebody from the local newspaper that was going to do a story on him as he was like a stunt man, and he did a fire stunt, and it went wrong, and it completely burned his body.
Oh,
and he describes it in detail. He was like bedridden for like a year.
Damn,
it's gross. Like he describes it in detail. It's terrible. But yeah, like Kane is an awesome guy though.
That, and thinking about it, like just these stunts, like with Halloween 2, like that explosion at the end, that's really crazy to think they did that. Because they didn't blow up the hospital, but they blew up that room. And when you're watching that, even now, I'm like, they just did it. Like that's just like everything I'm watching. Yeah, I'm like, well, obviously Michael's not real, but this is all really happening, like so.
Yeah, and just like that in Friday the 13th Part 7, where they blow that house up, they really blew that freaking house up.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? They had, it's crazy too. Like in the movie we were talking about earlier, Phantasm 2, at the beginning when that house explodes, they really fucking blew that house up. And they had to film it with like multiple different cameras all around, and if you messed it up, that's it. Sorry, you just blew it up. You can't blow it up again.
I can't even imagine what it goes into that safety wise to make that happen.
And read that Phantasm Exhumed book. They go into detail about how they blew that house up. It's pretty crazy because like they had to, because Angus Scrimm's coming out. One of the takes on that is Angus Scrimm coming out of his out of the hearse. And the house blows up, and he looks at it, and he had to do that like live while the house blew up.
Holy crap! No pressure, right?
Right.
My gosh. So my final pick here, I don't know. It might be. I don't know if it's controversial. Maybe a little surprising. I love this movie.
No, this is a good pick. I like this pick a lot.
Yeah, this is I've kind of grown to love this movie over a few years. I think Psycho 1 is obviously classic. I think I love this movie so much because it takes place so long after the first one. It reintroduces Norman Bates. And this movie, it's almost like what they did and what Tom Holland did with writing this script is they took Psycho out of the 60s and they brought it into the slasher era. They brought it into the 80s and they made it relevant. And there's so many things about this movie I love. It's the cinematography's great, the music, the story's interesting. I love that Norman is not really when you watch the movie, he's not really a bad guy until the end.
No, she kind of makes him into a bad guy.
Yeah,
they make him into a bad guy by driving him back insane. Like we're gonna prove you're insane by making you insane again. Like basically.
Yeah, it's really kind of unfortunate because the whole movie he basically
was cured.
Yeah, And it was. I will say that ending is kind of odd. How that lady comes in and she's. I still don't know if that was, she's saying that she was actually his mom. I don't know if that's real. I don't know if she was just some crazy lady. I don't know what the intention was there. I've never read about it, but
And then they made They made Psycho 3 and 4, and
yeah,
yeah, those are not that good.
I
But
never.
like Psycho 2 is really good. Like it is again kind of like Doctor Sleep. It's a sequel to a movie that's like amazing, an all-time classic, but it doesn't fall flat. It's really good. It's a great follow-up.
Yeah, I think it's. I don't know if it's kind of got lost in time. I don't hear it talked about a lot. 3 and 4, yeah, I agree. They're not very good. 4 is especially weird. The whole Olivia, what's her
4 is a
name?
Mick Garris joint.
Oh, it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot about that. But yeah, this one, there's a lot of scenes in this one that just stick out to me, like the whole scene in the basement where, I guess it's not Norman, but it's that lady sneaking up, and you see the reflection with the knife and
That seems
sneaking up on the
brutal.
teenagers. Yeah,
That's brutal, man. That's a graphic scene. Just like the shower scene in 1960 was graphic. That one is like graphic for what year was this? 82?
83, 1980.
83.
Well, actually, yeah, that's a good point. I'm not sure. I think it's 83. Let's see, 83. Yeah, 83.
That was a graphic scene for them too. Like, it goes full on. It shows them or shows her like stabbing them. It's like,
Yeah.
shit.
I need to rewatch it too because there's so many things about that you have to rewatch to like make sense of it after the fact.
I like the mind games of it though, where it's like, is it him? Is it not him? What's going on? It makes it fun. It's kind of like a who done it too in a way, because it's like, is it him killing people? Is it somebody else? What the hell's going on?
Yeah,
you don't really know, which is fun. It's a
yeah,
fun movie. It took the concept of it and like made it fun.
yeah, for sure. I always wonder if they're ever going to do anything else with this series. I know they did the TV show, but I don't know if it's maybe just dead in the water. It's kind of hard to say.
That show is that show was okay.
Oh, the Bates Motel.
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, I liked it. I didn't see all of it, but I saw
what I wish they would have done was ended the movie or ended the show and then played Psycho. Like lead up to Psycho and then play Psycho.
Yeah, they didn't. They kind of retro,
but instead they remade Psycho in like an episode of Bates Motel.
And it wasn't like Rihanna was supposed to be. Yeah,
and like it's weird because like the show was really good, and then it just fell off a cliff. Like,
yeah. So I see.
But okay, so this is my pick, my last pick. It's not my favorite sequel. That would be Halloween 2, but this is very close. And I put this on here because I want to defend this movie, because a lot of people shit on this movie. But I think this movie is amazing. And this is my personal favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. I think it's amazing. I think Freddy is evil as hell in this movie. He's scary in this movie. The look of Freddy is the coolest in this movie. I think this movie's poster is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Killer.
Mark Patton is amazing in this movie. I think everything about this movie's awesome. It's got one of the best scenes in the entire franchise whenever Freddy comes out of his body and kills Robert Russler in that bedroom. That scene is freaking awesome. It's so good, man. And then Freddy gets killed by the power of love. It's amazing.
You're right. He does. They should have just played Huey Lewis in the news at the end.
It's really like, the thing about it too. No, technically, is this the best made? Like, if I objectively sat down and watched these, is this the best one? No, that's probably honestly 3. But this movie, damn dude, it's easily the most entertaining. Like him dancing in his room while he's like putting up his shit. Like,
yeah.
God, it's so good. And he's got a probe board game in his closet. And there's all these like gay overtones to this movie that everybody talks about. Like that scene with the coach. Like, okay, the coach finds Jesse at a gay bar in the middle of the night, and he makes him go back to the school and run laps in the gym. Wouldn't you be like, no? Like, he can't make you do that, dude. You're not in school. And then he just shows up. He just shows up in the God, he just shows up at the front door and the police have him. It's like, ma'am, I found your son. And he's like naked. He's soaking wet. It's like, what did he do? And then like just so many things happen in this movie where it's like, what? Like there's a scene where he wakes up in the middle of the night and it looks like he's wearing like nurse scrubs or something. Like his wardrobe's so weird. He wakes up sweaty every night too.
Yeah.
He wakes up and he's wearing like looks like scrubs. I guess they're pajamas. And he goes downstairs and he's looking out and there's like an open window in front of some dishes and lightning strikes the dishes. And he just goes outside to see what's going on. Would you like freak out? Like, holy shit, lightning just struck my dishes. He just like goes outside, sees what's going on, and then like he goes down to the boiler room, and then Freddy's coming up the steps, and he's holding the door, and Freddy's pulling on the door, and he's like, Dad. It's like,
that's pretty much dead on exactly what happens. It's such a weird, yeah. I don't know. I don't love the movie. It is very interesting, and the more I watch it, I get a little bit more of an appreciation for it. Like we talked about it before. I mean, Freddy's look is killer. He is terrifying in this movie with the eyes and all. It's funny. You were talking about the scene at the bar. I know that Bob Shea does a cameo right there. He's like the
bartender.
Bartender. It's quirky. There's so many odd things, and there was that whole thing later on with Mark Patton where when he did that documentary about it, he confronted the director. It was Jack Shoulder, and he was basically like, obviously there's gay undertones here, and the Jack Shoulder was like, well, I didn't intend that, and it's like, come on, man, like,
didn't, dude. There are literally, if you look in the background on the wall, there's like phallic decorations on the wall. Like, no joke. Like, they're on the wall. I would always talk to me and my friends would watch this movie like religiously. Like, I've seen this movie so many damn times. There's stuff on the wall that's like phallic shaped. There is no way that guy did not know what was going on. How do you bring somebody to a gay bar and like you said, put Bob Shea in this leather shit and be like, I didn't know. Like, obviously you knew. Somebody put that pro board game in his freaking closet.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, at the scene where he's like talking about where Freddy comes out, he's like, oh, he's gonna come out and I can't stop him. It's like, obviously, come on.
Yeah, there's a lot. Oh yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things like in this movie. Like, is it an allegory for like the HIV crisis? And there's so many things when you watch this later. Like, as a kid, I mean, obviously, I didn't see any of that. I just thought, as a kid, it's creepy. This main guy is weird as hell. Like, he's dancing in his room. Like, I don't put that together. But later, I watch it, and I will say, like you said, I mean, there's a lot to like about this movie the more you watch it. And it kind of, you warm up to it. Kind of like Friday the 13th 5. The more you watch it,
It's the exact same thing, man. I don't see why people don't like. Well, that one is even more like, that one's like, dude, it's the same shit. Like,
pretty much.
At the end, you figure out that it's not Jason, but other than that, it's like the same shit.
Yeah.
This one is different. It does break the rule, technically. But I mean, that's what sequels are about. Wes Craven didn't like that. It's like, oh, the established rule. But it's like a sequel is supposed to be like, bigger, take the rule and like throw it out the window. You know what I mean? Make it like crazy, And that's what this sequel does. I love it. To be honest, I love it. It's amazing. It's always been my favorite. I don't know why. It's just so damn fun, so entertaining, man. And like at the beginning of the movie, he's like sitting in the back of the bus, and he's like this. He's like sitting in the back, like all by himself, and it looks like somebody poured like a gallon of grease on him. Like he's like covered in grease. I'm like, what the hell is happening to him? I gotta show you. I gotta pull up a picture of this. Hold on one
Yeah,
second.
no problem.
Because like, what happened?
You take that one, then I can add it back. Yeah.
Oh my god, it does not make any sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. I gotta find this shit.
And there's also the whole, there's that whole thing of like, it's almost like a bromance with like Robert Russler and Mark Patton in the movie, where it's like Robert Russler's kind of like a bully, but he's kind of not. He's kind of like best. It's weird. It's like they're not friends.
They're
but
weird
they kind of
friends.
are.
They're odd friends.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like they're brothers, but then there's like this. I don't know. That was like the weirdest thing in the movie, is I was like, what is this exactly?
All right, let's see.
Because he's not.
Here we go.
Because like in the first one, the guy that is Tina's boyfriend, like it. I don't know if they were trying to do that kind of thing with Robert Russler, because he wasn't that. He was just kind of like an odd friend / bully.
Yeah, it was weird. Like in this scene, like he's got like, I don't know what was going on. He looks totally different. I'm like, what the heck? And he's like by himself, but then Robert Englund's the bus driver too.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, it's so weird. And the beginning, they fly by freaking somebody, or it's either at the beginning or at the end. They fly by somebody who's like bus drop off, and they're like, hey, you were supposed to drop me off. And everybody's like freaking out. And he's just sitting back there like,
He looks. Yeah, this is such a weird shot. I didn't remember this.
Man, I know like every frame of this movie. I've seen it so many times. It's God.
So it's been. Let me see. I went through all of these in 2019, I think, and that was the last time I saw this. So I can't recall this, but is there a scene where the coach has them strapped up on the wall and they're naked? And he's like,
no,
is that a dream thing? I don't remember. He is. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And the scene, like and again, this is another scene that's hilarious, because he's like, he goes in the sports equipment room and he's like chewing on this gum. And he's like, and all these balls and shit are flying at him.
Oh God.
He's like just chewing on his gum. Like, wouldn't you be freaking out? Why the fuck are all these balls flying everywhere? Like, he's just like calm, collected. And then jump ropes grab him and strap him up and whip his clothes off.
Yeah.
And then Freddie,
that's right. Yeah.
Stabs him like down the back. And then Jesse's like, screams.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the hell? And he spanks his ass with a towel, though. Like, what? Okay, Jack Shoulder, you didn't know.
Right.
Included with a bear man tied up with jump ropes in a shower, and you spanked his bare ass. Okay.
And he had balls going at him.
Exactly. And he's a gay man.
Well, then there's what is the scene? There's the whole scene with Clu Gallagher with the bird.
Oh my God.
Like Clu Gallagher.
You put a gosh darn cherry bomb in that. And it's like, how? How would you do that? How can you do that? He rigged a cherry bomb inside of a parrot to explode. Man. Well, damn, you better he's a scientific genius. Like what?
You could almost look at that movie, and especially part 2, you could probably say that whole movie, if you just look at it as if it's a bad dream, it's kind of like fits the movie. Like it's because it's all like a dream. The whole thing is weird. Everything they do in the movie is so strange.
I just keep thinking about more and more shit from the movie.
Even Freddy, like there's one scene in the movie I didn't understand, like with the pool scene when he's like looking at them and he just walks through them.
He walks through that fence and it combusts into flames.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't really make sense. He's in the real world and then he just walks into a fence and explodes into flames.
Yeah.
And he's so pissed that the dad tried to shoot him. Like he runs out there with that gun. And he's like, and just blows up like a fruit in front of him on the table. And Freddy turns around. He's like, and then he just walks off.
I wish they would have kept that look for Freddy and the others. I feel like that was such a
freaking badass look. Yeah. And then he finds a freaking notebook that's from Nancy in the same room, and it's like his razor blades clawing at my bed. It's like,
what? So was that supposed to be Nancy's house they move into?
Yeah, it's the same house.
That's right. Okay, I
Oh
couldn't
my
remember.
god! But it does have a thing prior to the Chest of Souls thing from part 4. It's got those dogs that have faces of the people that he's killed.
Oh yeah, okay.
Which is kind of cool. And then it's got that one scene I'll never forget. Kim Myers has like a wound on her leg, and she looks down. It's like covered in like ants or something. She's like wiping it off, and then she looks down again. And it's fine.
Yeah,
That's
that whole relationship with her and Jesse is weird because it's like they're supposed to be romantic, but he's like, I guess if he's gay, she's like the friend.
Well,
It's like,
there's that scene, he starts like making out with her, and then he's like, the Freddy tongue comes out, and he's like, and she's like, what's wrong? Like,
yeah.
Oh my God.
That just talking about that makes me want to go through the series and do something with it because
they're all good in their own way, but that one to me, man, I have the most fun with that one. I can watch that one any day, anytime. I've seen it over 100 times. Like I've seen it a lot.
Well, it probably has the most, aside from part 1, it has the most iconic shot where he's at the pool and he's doing this whole thing with the claws.
That's honestly might be the most iconic shot.
Yeah, I mean the only thing that compares to that is like in the first one where like just the stuff in the first one, like him going down the alleyway, cutting the finger off, and that's.
I always remember the scene in the third one too, where he's got Philip and he's doing the marionette thing.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. Well, yeah, I guess that's it for the. Did you have any more? I think that's it.
No, that's it.
Yeah, there were so many to choose from. God,
we can definitely go back to the well on this. There's a lot more sequels, especially if we're going into the main franchise. There's tons, all of those. I could talk about all of those ad nauseum.
Oh yeah, and I couldn't pick anything from like Friday because I like so many of them. It was kind of hard because especially with Friday the 13th, for me, it's hard to pick one movie. It's more about the collective thing.
We'll have to do a show on in parts of those. Do like one that's like, 1 through 4, and then like 5 through 8 or whatever.
Yeah, that'd probably be a good split, honestly. Because 1 through 4,
then the New Line shit.
Oh yeah, that's a whole other. Yeah, that's definitely a stop right there with the. You got the Paramount, then you got the New Line ones, and that's like a clear split in the quality. It's a split in everything. They just
because they couldn't even use Friday the 13th like the name.
Yeah, it is weird how that is with those movies. I mean, even like Jason Takes Manhattan. I don't love it, but I mean, I think it is. It is funny just the difference in like Jason Takes Manhattan and the way that movie's shot. And then you go to Jason Goes to Hell and it's just such a different, it's just like a whole different thing. Like
if you take it at face value, Jason Goes to Hell is one of the better movies in the series. Like if I objectively watched them and was not like, if I compared them, like how good is the movie itself? I feel like Jason Goes to Hell would be like way up there.
Yeah.
Even though I like Jason Goes to Hell a lot. I mean, I like a lot of the other ones more, but I mean, I like it a lot more than other people. Some people would say it's the worst one. I don't think it's no.
Oh no. No, it's not the worst. Definitely not. But I agree. We should do something with those because that would be a lot of fun. But yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and call it now. And yeah, man, thanks for everybody. I don't know who's watching. We've had 2 viewers, but it was a live stream trial, and maybe we'll do live again next time.
Right.
But yeah, until then, I'm John.
And I'm Josh.
See y'all later.